Wednesday, April 20th. Guys, we're checking the box today with another one of these EMOMs. So you already know what I'm gonna say. Don't even need to say it. By now, some of these movements have even come up in the EMOMs before, such as 20 box jumps, right? I think probably the last time 20 box jumps were in, it was the same day we were doing some assault bike right afterwards. It was the same day we were doing power cleans and squat cleans. And we just said, like, it may not be 20 box jumps for everyone, but at the same time, several people learned that 20 box jumps is no big deal in a minute. Today it might be different. Like, the context of the WOD always matters, and the order of the movements is very deliberate today. So let's talk about it. We're gonna start off with some air squats, and we have done air squats as part of a tandem with muscle ups in these EMOMs last week or 2 weeks ago. I think it was last week. And the thing to know is that, you know, you could just think of it as, oh, it's just air squats, but it's not. We're doing air squats as our skill today because, you know, there's 300 of them in Murph, which is happening next month. But just in general, like, it's it's one of the most functional things we do, probably the most important foundational movement there is. And yet, when we try to add speed to an air squat, we tend to see some faults in the air squat. And so we're gonna actually spend time doing a skill clinic about, like, perfect technique air squats. And so when you come across 25 in the WOD, I'm not going to say, hey, you're gonna learn something in this clinic that is gonna speed you up and get through those 25 and it's gonna be great. In fact, I might be going the opposite way with it. You may learn something in this clinic that makes you take pause and say, well, I'm not doing 25 in a minute because when I go faster, my technique breaks down, and we need 25 of perfect air squats. And if you're not gonna give us 25 perfect air squats, then we wanna see 20 or 15 or 10 even of your best possible air squat based on what you learn and what you really already know, right? That's including the depth, including keeping your heels on the ground, including letting your knees track over your toes, including fully standing up at the top and opening up your hips rather than having that muted hip. All right, so all kinds of, as simple of a movement as it is, there are all kinds of points of the performance that we wanna be hitting on a day like today, where, it's really a check the box workout. No one's gonna come around and count how many reps you did, but we will be able to see what kind of quality you're adding to your movement. And then, when it comes to Murph and we're all doing 300 air squats, I wanna be able to look around and be excited and proud about the technique that we're seeing across the room, right? Even if it takes you a little bit longer, making sure that we're hitting every single point. I want people, strangers, which we always get a few guests at the box on Murph, just to be, I want everyone to be so complimentary about how we move at Chester Springs. Air squats have to be the foundation of that. All right, what else do we have in this one today? We have, we got the air squats first, and then we got box jumps. And if you can't see why that might not be a deliberate tandem of movements side by side, then hey, don't even worry about it. Box jumps, we already kind of went over. This is a thing, and I apologize, not really. Wednesday is pretty far removed from Saturday, but if you did Kelly, then you may not want to see a box jump anytime soon. But then again, we didn't have, probably about a third of our membership did Kelly. So there's still plenty of you who haven't done this type of volume of box jumps in a little while. What else do we have? After that, we have our burpees. 15 in a minute is asking a lot from some people, and I will admit, just having finished up this workout, that, I wasn't moving my fastest on burpees. I was kind of trying to make that not make it my break, but it was the movement that took me right up until about 45 to 50 seconds each time. And so we're gonna have to make a business decision today about how many is right for me, how many can I fit into a 40-second period, and then try to be consistent with that. I think plenty of you can do 15. It's just a matter of pushing yourself that little bit of extra. And maybe there's an area where you're gonna be able to steal some rest, as we've talked about in previous EMOMs. I think the area where you can steal some rest today is on the bench press, because when you think about it, yes, we're asking you to do 10. I can't really imagine a scenario where you would choose a weight that you're gonna have to put down in the middle of your set. So let's use that as our rule of thumb today. I want weights that I feel like I can go unbroken at, right? So that's the thing. And I'll be honest with you guys, I just did 115. Like, my max is probably about 225, 230. 115 was tough, like, to actually go unbroken. So just keep in mind what kind of volume this is. We got to weigh that against when was the last time you bench pressed? How are your push-ups feeling recently? Just keeping that in mind, right? Like, let's not all try to be Arnold Schwarzenegger today. Let's just be smart about the way we bench press. And if that first round goes better than planned, then we can add weight in the ensuing rounds. But the bench press has to be the one movement, well, everything's CrossFit, be careful, but it has to be the one movement where we are extra careful today, only because, you know, I know in all the coaches' classes, we're going to be paying attention to the people bench pressing, knowing that, you know, as far as like our safety is concerned, that's always for triaging and prioritizing what requires our attention the most. It's going to be the bench press, because you won't have a spot from another member. So at the end of the day, the coach is the only person who's going to be able to spot you, right? So you got to be smart about making sure it's a weight that you feel very confident in. And if it turns out you were wrong about being confident, well, then that's what we're going to be there for. But we want to try to take precautions about that. Only thing I can say is that for the bench press is that, you know, again, the order of things matters. We're doing burpees right before bench press, and I see some people do burpees frequently where they're hitting the standard, chest is all the way down, but in order to get back up, they do a push-up. So if you are doing unnecessary push work in order to get up from the burpee, right, there's a certain amount that you can't avoid. I understand that, but that will be taxed and fatigue for the bench press, and you ought to be aware of that. All right, so same thing with the box jumps. You will have just come off of air squats. Is that going to be your best possible box jump? I still think we have a pretty resilient bunch when it comes to that kind of thing, but just things to keep in mind, things that I may have learned the hard way, right? All right, guys, this is a 7-minute video for Check the Box EMOM. Let's get to it, get fit, get to the weekend. All right, bye.